hit a really big snag in the works. Although my mind is getting stimulated by the prospect of English in a soon-coming Japanese game. That Curious Birthmark, by the way. And we're gonna do one more Kana run, because I said so. So, that Curious Birthmark, let me make sure I remember that. We're gonna go on an all perks run, so Curious Birthmark, Katak, and then, yes, Kana just one more time, and we will move on. I did do Jury. I'm going absolutely insane. Anywho, accidentally. Oh my goodness, I keep going around. And I will talk about what I wanted to talk about in a moment, but we're just on all perks. So as we get into Katak, Curious Birthmark, all perks, Kana, I did play the demo of a certain pirate Yakuza. I mean, I just said it out loud, but Dexterity, Second Mystery, Charisma, Tachi-san, Knowledge, and maybe a second mystery, second encounter. Check. But yes, looked at the demo. I planned to do it myself, but then someone else got to it first, so I just figured, hey, and then I saw a lot of things that could be done. So we'll see what actually happens as the month rolls on. If anything weird happens, I might actually be releasing my game at the same week of one bigger game and one very big game. So yeah, come on. If you've been watching my recent videos, you know what they are: Flood, Recluse, and Metamorphosis. And yeah, we have 3 boss mysteries right away. But the reason why I talked about certain translation and Japanese-English stuff is because it got my mind stimulated on translation work again, as I paid attention and, looked at some examples of Japanese translated to English, and I think for the most part it was done pretty well. I didn't really notice any holes as someone who has watched both Japanese and English gameplay of dragons being alike, and yeah, being infinitely wealthy. So if you're curious, I'll speak on them if I can, if I have the time to, because I'm trying to concentrate on not dying as well. You know what would also help? Having funds to buy a weapon, but hey, there's that, and then there's Cursed Signs, but that's fine. And I guess we're using Meat Cleaver. Fujiko would be interesting, but I've already used a lot of Doom, even though, yes, we do have Recluse, and I think something else. Do we have Ward? I didn't check. Well, let's find out. Otherwise, I will take Fujiko here anyway, so yeah, let's find out. And off we go. I think, yeah, since we're Kana, we don't die from stamina reason, but still, that's a small thing that's a small thing. And hopefully my Doom is okay. So one particular example, as I did not mean to actually fight this thing. It's been a while since I actually fought this thing. I could fight it. I don't want to, but I'm already here now, so guess we're fighting this thing. So we lose 4 all for this, and we don't actually get much out of it. It's very interesting, though. This also pushes my encounters. So this is my first encounter, theoretically speaking. We get 25 experience for 4 all. Or 5 Doom, if I just assume I'm gonna die. But I guess we'll find out, won't we? Because this boss is about to also... Well, alright. This will help out. Only so much, but it'll help out. I'm gonna actually not use the soft drink, because if I die to stamina, maybe I run into an all enemy that I can do some cool stuff on, but we'll see. I guess I can autopilot while I'm here. So, yeah, specifically translation work, and specifically, let's just say, karaoke songs. And it's a very specific song about singing about the person that a character, or 2 characters, want to love. And there's a very specific, I forgot what the exact English phrase for it, but the accompaniment that a dragon and a koi fish sing along with the characters singing. And they're specifically singing about a dishwasher, and there's some things that I think are lost in translation there, but because I can't think of a better... No, I mean, I'm sure there's a better alternative, but I can't think of one for myself. Usually when I give criticism, positive or negative, I try to give other possibilities. But in this case, I can't really think about it, at least off the top of my head, because again, it's something hot in my head. So specifically during this song, the character is singing about, not being able to love the one they love. And I think near the very beginning of the song, I think after like a verse or 2, they specifically mention a dishwasher. And right after that, the accompaniment voices start talking about a dishwasher too. That's all fine and stuff. Again, I don't think the English... I think whoever was in charge of translation there did good work. It's just that at the very end of the song, when one of the accompaniments goes on about the dishwasher again, specifically at the key line of that song, It's definitely lost, I feel. But again, it works better in Japanese than it did in English. If I were to compare the two, just like numerically, I think the Japanese version did it better. But right after that, as I finally get out of this encounter, there's another part right at the very end of the song for one of the accompaniment voices that is lost in translation as well. I think there's a better way to have... I had in my mind a better way to have said it, but basically I didn't exactly agree with the decided translation there. We could just end up dying of stamina here, so that's why I think I'm gonna plant a brace here. Yeah. And we have Fujiko, so we should be able to brace into a guarantee. Yeah, 5 strength, guaranteed kick. 3 damage? Yeah. I think this is out. I guess we're gonna find out. Thank goodness we ran to the Burning Man, which was our second encounter. So, or is our second encounter. That's present tense. But yeah, that's one of many examples that probably exist in terms of me thinking about translation work, because Japanese as a language, I guess, basically for those who don't know, I'm losing I don't remember the terms for English, but essentially a big part of Japanese, at least difficulty-wise for me, when I was, for those who don't know, I did take a translation class at a very high level, higher than I expected. I didn't exactly do the best work myself, but Flood is our third mystery, by the way. Yeah, so Japanese doesn't necessarily need a noun, whereas in English, usually, I mean, you can forego a noun in English too, but it makes less sense. For example, you could say in Japanese, hashiru, hashiteimasu, or ima hashiru kara matete ne. Something, I said 3 different phrases there, and in English, in order, they are, I will run, I am running right now, and the third one was something along the lines of, because right now I am running, please wait a moment. However, because there is no noun, context, or I guess the other side of the coin is context matters a lot in Japanese. So, for all I know, those 3 phrases I said in Japanese, it could have been said in a situation where someone's on the phone observing someone running. So in that case, in English, you would say there is a person running, as opposed to just... the person speaking running. And there are different forms in which you can say, the person themselves, and you can add a noun, but more often than not, I feel, when I'm working or looking at reading Japanese, sometimes, or there's a good number of times where the noun is omitted from Japanese, and so all you have is like a verb form, or some mixture of a sentence phrase that is lacking a noun, because context gives you basically the clues needed to decide who the subject is, or who the target of the verb is, if the speaker is speaking about someone else. And then there are different, also, for those who don't, again, this is mainly for those who don't know Japanese. I'm kind of going on a very quick, simple crash course that's way too simplified, but essentially context is a very key factor in determining what something means, especially if you're trying to translate to an English-speaking person. So like I just said, you could say the verb run, and some people, I would say it's usually an amateur's mistake to just translate it right up to straight up as running, or will run, because you're lacking a form. Again, in Japanese, I think the way I can describe it is that there's a feel in terms of what you need to translate. So a very common phrase that I think I've used before for anyone who knows a little bit of Japanese, but for those who don't, phrases that you say before and after eating. So, itadakimasu, gochujou-sama deshita, those things like that. I would not really look down on anyone who doesn't really translate that to English and just leaves it as romaji, or English letters, but in the Japanese language. So, but obviously, if you paid me, if I were being paid or if my job were on the line, I would come up with an English phrase like, thanks for the meal, or something like that. I would do something like that. But at the same time, if I do see something that's a little bit, I was like, is that really true? Then I wouldn't really... what's the phrase I should use here? I wouldn't really, again, as I may have said, I wouldn't look down on it. But there are very finicky things to note when translating Japanese to English, and that's, again, I took a whole class on it, and I don't think I did that well too. Again, what should have been big final project, let's just say. Oh my goodness, that's right, Curious Birthmark. Was literally translating something. Could have been a key. Well, I think the scope was a key part of a scene of a film, or a short comic, or something along that lines. They wanted us to do some amount of work, and in my case, I chose basically a chapter of a manga, I guess is what I'll say without going too much into detail. And yeah, that was a whole ordeal. I think in my time's sake, translating is not just translating the words and stuff like that, because you also have to consider, what's the best way to phrase it? The design of the words on the page. For example, speech bubble, or we can even just use this short thing for about 15 seconds. So, meet cleaver, nothing, nice ring. So pretend this square is a speech bubble. In Japanese, you have a lot more basically space, and in this small space, you could be saying a lot of things. But obviously, in English, the letters are a bit bigger, so you only have so much space to say things with the speech bubbles given. So that's just one of several key factors of the difficulties that go into translating from Japanese to English. And yeah, that's a heck of a thing. Also, we're probably going to continue eating that. You know, I didn't realize, I forgot to do a desperate struggle, but that's fine for the moment. I'm probably just going to end up kicking here. Yeah, I'm just going to end up kicking here. That way we can do a thing. Now, we just keep... Well, Masochistic's not so bad because Kana doesn't have to deal with max stamina reason loss, but... I mean, it would be great to avoid it if possible, but that's not going to happen. We do have a coin somewhere, but we'll use it on Mind Wipe because we want to level up. Because we have all perks as well. So, let's take out that coin and use it. I could use the stuffed toy as well, but we shouldn't need to at the moment. Not really a lot of curses we need to get rid of, so that's essentially what I'm trying to say. None of the curses I have you should really be tossing away because they don't affect Kana specifically. That being said, we do have allies with us, right? I think we have Fujiko. Yeah, we do. So I guess we'll take anatomy class. We'll take strength as much as it matters, but we are still in a bit of trouble. So let's hope that arms and coma go well for me. We have 40% doom on our 4th mystery, but things could still go wrong. But I think that's all I really wanted to say. Well, I mean, I could go on. There's always more to say about translation stuff. As someone who's studied Japanese to more than some of an extent, but not completely all the way, because otherwise I would actually have a major in Japanese. Again, the short story for those who don't know is that I literally just had to go to Japan to get to major in Japanese, or to get a degree in Japanese, but didn't happen, so... fun times. Don't get hallucinations again. We actually want to get rid of hallucinations now, because I'm scared of zero statting. There's something specific I wanted to say, though. There's one more specific thing I wanted to say, but I can't think about it in the moment. I also forgot to throw these branches of broken bottles, yes. Because I was really trying to think of what I wanted to say, but in the meanwhile, I think there's something worse here, right? No, that's just more perception there. Kana has low perception, so zero statting on perception is a possibility. Not a likely possibility, but it's a possibility. Or I guess it is likely if your RNG is considered very bad, but... now hoping to run into an all-enemy, funny enough, so let's find out if that happens. Otherwise, I should be resting here, but don't really need to as Kana. Kana's is going to take the 5 damage anyway, but I guess this is the next best, or next worst thing. I could opt to one-shot this enemy. Do I want to? Yeah, we might as well. Yeah, we might as well. Oh, we might as well. I feel like there's a reason why I shouldn't be doing this, but it's too late. I've already thrown everything, so... Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. So, specifically speaking, I guess we'll just do this and take... Plus, basically healed all our reason. But the issue that is how hard it is to translate a game, or add a language to a game... Yeah, it's an ordeal. It's an ordeal to add to. I mean, if you didn't already hear me talk about it when I was playing the Princess Maker series, but hey, we could just opt to run here. But if we're gonna take 5 5 doom damage anyway, you might as well get experience for it. The short version is adding a completely new language, whether it's Japanese to an English game or English to a Japanese game, is a whole ordeal in itself. As I mentioned before, you already have the issue that is possibly the dialogue that you have. In this case, it's not speech bubbles because we're not working with comic, but for example, you're working with a visual novel, you have a dialogue box that appears. There's only so much you can fit in a dialogue box if it happens to be a long string of Japanese characters. Or in the case of English to Japanese, you're dealing with some odd, I guess, how should I say it? I'm trying to think of a specific example, but essentially the structure of words on the screen, and even on a more technical point, the wrapping of dialogue on the screen, because I've seen bugs and glitches of things on the screen before. Basically, say this in-game chat exists, words going off of this box would be a bug, and that's often because of sometimes dialogue boxes count characters before doing a word wrap. Sometimes they just try to look at length or just straight up strictly add requirements. So if a dialogue box is so many pixels wide, it only looks for that many pixels before wrapping the characters. Even if that is for example, if you're working with English, you can't exactly cut a letter off in a word and wrap it around to another new line. So if this said 14E and then XP appeared down there, that's kind of something that's more that works in Japanese, because Japanese, each character can be wrapped around because it's not like you're cutting a character in half. Whereas in English, if you, like I said, cut off reason in half and sun goes down to a separate line, that doesn't work so well. So that is a more specific example of what I mean. And that's one of many things that goes into adding or translating a game into another language. So that's why I have at least some respect for any game that even adds one language, but games that add more than a few or several, for that matter. To be expected with larger games, but it's still an ordeal that results in a lot of stuff. And even then, a lot of games don't get it completely perfect, but some of it is based on a player's, how should I say? Based on a player's, I meant to do hospital, but it's fine, opinion, but those opinions are valid, I guess I'll just say here. So I do want stamina, but I don't think we're gonna get it, so I think we just rush through. So yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to say. So the short version is, if you think it's easy to add a language, sometimes it is, and sometimes fans of a game are nice enough to, you know, offer translations here and there that a developer, especially an indie game developer, can just add here and there. But for larger games, there can be things. Also, yeah, we're on Kathak, so we can't even run. We can go for handcuff play if we hit 2 attacks, I think, but will I hit them is the question. 70% or 80-80. We're gonna go for it. Good. That actually works out quite well, even if we have Tachi-san, because the Doom hit there would have been a lot worse, I think. Even though we could have done the all damage trick, still, because it was hard to get them both equal. I mean, I could have, but no point going for it. And even then, like, we can take 15 Doom and damage and still be perfectly fine. We lost Bath, but as I just said, we can take like 15 Doom and damage and be perfectly fine. So, and I'm pretty sure I remember the check. So we do have the 6th floor. So let's just walk up this tower and see what happens. No stakes video anyway. And yeah, just talked about a lot of translation work, which extends to my game dev in terms of, if I do add Japanese here and there, it's kind of more like a bonus, because if I were to translate a game completely or add support for 2 languages in a game, that's I have to stick with what I have for now. It'd be something I do down the line, basically. Anywho, so we're just gonna roll the dice here and see what happens, because I feel like doing that. Now, that's not... Oh, we could actually die to hallucinations here. That'd be really funny, but we don't have to take the risk because I can just throw the meat cleaver. Now, we could have gotten hallucinations. There was a non-zero chance of taking hallucinations in the face and dying there, but it didn't happen. So, Burning Man, and thank you for coming to this video. If you know what to do, you know what to do. If you want to support me or not, you know what to do. And if you have any questions, though, comment section is always open. Criticism, so on and so forth. But thank you for watching, if nothing else, and I'll see you later. Bye!